Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 25th, 2025?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll get right into the first Selectmen's updates. I just want to thank Parks and Recreation and DPW and our first responders and the police and the fire department for the successful July 4th fireworks. They went off without a hitch. So again, we are very grateful for all the planning, which really is a year in advance. So we want to thank them for what they did last weekend. And also thank you to Tommy Caruso, to Ken, Rich Gonzalez, and the members here at Town Hall for putting on a really nice display of patriotism on July 4th, and also to the Independence Day Committee for, again, planning what is, I think, one of the better events that we have each year in the back of Town Hall now. So we had a nice day. It was a little hot, but it was a nice day. Again, thank you to them. And also, as a reminder, it kicked off the year-long celebration of America 250, the Greenwich Commission. And we'll be doing a year's worth of events to celebrate the country's 250th anniversary, including a big ship coming into Greenwich Water sometime next June. And we're reaching out to people and individuals and nonprofits and businesses who can contact us directly on the website for America 250 Greenwich Commission or the Historical Society or myself if they want to join in the events or host something. So we're filling up with that now, and we're looking forward to we just had the kickoff, but for a year full of events. The other night we honored the GHS track team here. The boys and the girls. It was the first time the girls track team won since 1981, and it was the third time the boys won the state championship and third time in 4 years. So Titletown, Connecticut still continues here in Greenwich. We're very proud of them, and we had a nice event. The light schedule coming up, it slows down just a little bit now. Doing a little cooking over at Camp Simmons this Friday. God help those kids. And then you could tell I don't eat this stuff either, but it shows. And then OGYC is having some of their annual awards tonight this Friday night. So stop by there and say hello to them. We have the Bastille Day flag raising on July 14th here at 10 o'clock. Cale Parker will be the first selectman for the day on the 14th too, so we will welcome him for helping to straighten out the town a little bit that day. And on the 15th, we're going to be over at Todd's Point again, cleaning up and planting, I should say, for the youth conservation program. So that's always a lot of fun, and it's usually a hot day too, but we don't mind it.
We're going to be teens for the day. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Speak for yourself. I'm always a teen. So, maturity-wise, I should say. Also, 10 o'clock that morning, I have to run back over here for at some point for the hurricane preparedness meeting over at the public safety complex. July 18th is Founders Day, so Greenwich will be celebrating its 385th birthday. So it predates our own country. So that should be a nice event over in Old Greenwich. And as I mentioned, the America 250 committee will be meeting on the 19th, the next time we gather. And on the 20th, I'll be in Stamford at Cove Island to celebrate the ADA's 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. That will be over at Cove Park at, I don't know what time it is, but I think around noon. And then on the 25th, here in town, we'll be celebrating it at the Cohen Easter Greenwich Civic Center at 12 o'clock. So that's it for me, and I'll turn it over to Lauren. Good morning.
Good morning. Not much of an update. I forgot my notebook at home. I have to get back into the swing of things. As people, my colleagues know, I've been on a couple of vacations, babysitting grandchildren, attending weddings. So I did miss the 4th of July festivities, so happy belated birthday, America. I think back into the swing of Central Middle School building committees, probably what I'll update. We'll be looking to do a topping off ceremony the week of August 11th, where as dignitaries, we will sign a steel beam that will be part of the building. So just be on the lookout for that. And that's it for me for today. Still catching up. Oh, so I'm sorry, one more thing. We did put forward the information to self-nominate for the Riverside Building Committee. So far, we have about 4 or 5 applications that have come in, so we'll be scheduling those interviews. So please, if the public is interested in serving on that building committee, I know we've been putting it out in Fred, your weekly newsletter, and Dr. Jones, before school ended, got it out in her newsletter as well. We need a minimum of 7 members to be on that building committee. So it'll look to start to take form in terms of RTM interviews in September.
Well, thank you, and thank you and Janet for nominating me to be the liaison. Not really, but thank you.
Yeah, we told Fred there's 4 building committees. Janet's on 2, I'm on 2, and we're like, if there's a 5th, it's your turn, Fred.
Couldn't get out of it this time. So you're right. And before Janet, we go to turn over to Janet. When the topping off ceremony, we've done that before, but I don't remember signing anything. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've been talking about it. Also, kids at Central are going to be invited to sign it. So it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal.
Something new.
And it is a big deal.
Yes, thank you, and good morning, Janet.
Good morning. So absolutely, summer is now here. That means beach and summer reading. So I am looking forward on Saturday, the 19th. Parks and Rec is going to be hosting Sandblast at Greenwich Point. That's always a lot of fun to see all the creativity and big sandcastles there. And I'm also excited, Greenwich Reads Together has announced for its book pick, The History of Sound by Ben Shattuck. So if anyone's interested in getting some summer reading in, that looks like a good book. And that's it for me.
Thank you. We all had short reports today, so on to the old business. Our friend Chris Farrell's here from Eversource to give us an update on the test pit work on Greenwich Avenue and Grigg Street.
Good morning. Yes, right now we're
Identify yourself for the record, please.
yes, my name's Ken Susi, Eversource, and
Chris Farrell, Eversource.
yes. So I just want to let you know, we are by the customer-sensitive areas, restaurants going down the hill with our duct structure. We are about 60 feet away from the structures we need to break into now. That's about at the intersection. We did pause this week. I believe there's sidewalk sales and stuff going on this week, so we'll begin on Monday evening, and we'll be excavating in front of those 2 manholes on Railroad Avenue, and we'll continue to try and break into those locations there and try and minimize the inconvenience for traffic and customers as well as we've been doing.
Thank you. Yeah, I know the sidewalks will start today, so I know it's a sensitive time, but I haven't heard any complaints. So you guys are doing a great job so far. That's hard not to get complaints, so.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, we appreciate too that you're continuing to come back, so we know that's a lot to ask. So we appreciate, your efforts and coming in front of us.
Exactly, but I think the process is working exactly how we hoped it would, which is frequent check-ins, and yeah, if all goes well, we don't hear anything.
No, and we really are grateful to Eversource for doing this, so thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks, you too. Okay, going on to new business, we have the request for the temporary road closure on Grigg Street for the brick facade repairs, and is Chris Grady?
I don't think they are here yet. If anyone is online from the firm, if they could raise their hand, but I have reached out to them and I have not heard from them yet, so maybe we can just go and come back to them later if they log on a little bit later. We can move on to Father Lennox, perhaps.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And I saw Father walk in. Good morning, Father. So Father's here for the temporary road closure, and I have some more information on that this morning for the St. Roch's Feast. It's just you and not Frank, correct? Absolutely, yes.
Good morning, everyone, and for the record, my name is Father Peter Lennox, and I'm the new pastor of St. Roch's in Chickahominy. And as you know, it is a historied tradition to have the St. Roch's Feast in Chickahominy for the sake not simply of our own parish community celebrating itself and its longevity, but also in offering a wonderful moment for the community to get together and have some summer fun. That this year, as you know, has been a little bit complicated due to the construction that's happening at Hamilton Elementary with the closure of the parking deck. And of course, we are not, unfortunately, able to use the fields. So what we've done is we've condensed the project into just that which pertains to our parish footprint. But traditionally, we have had road closures take place in a very small strip right directly in front of our property for the sake of the feast and what's going on there. So that's why we are requesting, instead of the traditional 4 days of closure, we're requesting 2 days, a Friday evening, and then a good portion of the day on Saturday, because we're trying to combine what would usually be spread across 5 days into just 2. So that's the basis of the request for the road closure.
Thank you so much, Father. So I'm just looking for a note because Ben Branyan reached out to me from Greenwich Public Schools, and they're very happy and grateful to the church for amending the feast this year to basically just scale it down. The road is, something that's important. We do this every year, but they do need access as a contractor needs to drive to the site. So as it's presented now, they said there's no vehicle access, and they don't need the road for construction. They just need it for access. So depending on the progress of the contractor, they'll be working past 4:30 on Friday and all day on Saturday. So they can't stop work. So rather than say we can't use.
We're not looking for them to stop work.
Yeah, right. So rather than to say, we can't use the road now, is there a way for us to use the road, but to have it a way where those trucks can just have access? So maybe whatever you would say, I know what you normally put there in the past. I don't know what this new version is going to look like on the road, but if we could just leave a path for the trucks to go there. They're very sensitive to how well and how much the church is compromised in this, so they're very happy, and I know the church wants to work with them too. So as long as
We're active collaborators in the community.
I know you are.
Mr. Selectman. We are happy to work. We like to see that Greenwich itself is improving itself, and we're happy to respect that. We're just trying to see if, typically, what I see from my own rectory is that the work seems to stop at about 6 o'clock.
Right, so as long as they have access to and from there, so maybe just one path through there, and I think we can vote to close the road here now, and then just provided, and I'll let them know that there will be, and I'll circle back with Frank and Jackie and the committee, just to make sure that there's no hiccups, so I don't get a call that Friday in the middle of something, that there's no access.
We have time, don't we? We can hear this again on the 24th. I mean, we typically have
Yeah.
2 reads anyway.
we-
I'm just wondering because all I have is this,
Right.
and I'm just wondering if we can, for the public, if we could just elaborate a little more.
Sure, yeah, I mean, you're gonna get the approval here, but we normally do what's called a second read, unless it's time sensitive. And if this was time sensitive, we'd vote now, but because of this little hiccup, but which I think is very easy to fix, if you could just circle back with the schools and just let them know that we're, and how you're gonna present it there so they can, and we'll have you or Frank come back.
Hey,
and
Hamilton Elementary, or would it be?
Hamilton Avenue. It is good, yeah, because they're gonna be they just need some access. to and from. They don't want to disturb anything else, just so the truck. So if you, in the next 2 weeks, 2 weeks from now, we'll approve it. But if you could just contact Ben Branyan and just,
Frank will know who to.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, as you know, we have a very good relationship with Hamilton Elementary.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, we've offered, seeing that these construction men have been working in the summer heat, as you've made note of, Janet, we felt for them and for their needs, and so we've opened up the basement of the church as a place if they need to use the bathroom or maybe have some lunch in a place that's cooler than outside in the hot sun. We're happy to do that because we're very neighborly people.
Leave any
so-
pasta there for, or no?
What's that?
Leave any pasta or no?
Well, if you'd like to come over, you're always more than welcome.
A little salmon.
They have good pasta there and
Yeah.
salmon. But, yeah, no, that's very nice of you. Thank you. Yeah, so we'll circle back in 2 weeks, whether you or Frank come here. We'll do a vote then, but in the meantime, and I'll send Frankie a note too, just to reach out to Ben and just get that straightened out. But
How
I,
we can provide some
Yeah.
type of closed access
yeah, I
to
didn't
the
think,
site.
when I spoke this morning, I said this is not a big deal.
Yeah.
Because we've seen this before, where you just leave a little room for some of them.
Again, we're not looking to hamper anything.
No.
We're actually happy that the construction is fixing the issues with the deck.
Yes,
So
Thank
we're
you.
just trying to be able to have our feast in a little bit more of a streamlined fashion this year, which takes place on most of the day of Saturday as a
Right.
result, so.
Yes.
And as you know, we have the procession, so.
yes.
So they're not working on Sunday, the 16th, so that doesn't impact the procession ask. They're working on Friday, the 15th. We think they work until 6. So in theory, they just need access to leave.
Yeah.
If, they just need access
Just
to
a path,
leave.
Yeah, for a truck,
But then we can close it off
again.
for the
yeah.
rest. And then the 16th, Saturday, they work all day? Is that what
They work
you're,
all day?
is that what you were told,
So
Fred?
Ben said, hold on a second.
I've seen them work until noon.
So again, they would just need
He-
access to
he's-
leave.
He said all day Saturday, but we'll, again, they're not gonna be working on the road, they'll be
Yeah.
there. So, yeah, so it would just be before and then whatever time, 6 o'clock. So again, it's really
Yeah.
not a big deal.
Yeah, it's what Fred said, we'll approve. I think we just need to make our thinking visible so that it's clear to everybody what it is we're approving.
Well, we're not
Yes.
looking for anyone to get hurt here. I mean,
No,
that's the last-
understood.
That's the last
No,
thing
understood.
we're looking for. Just if we can give them a path so they can enter and exit, and then we can just take care of the rest of it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Very
Looking
good.
forward to it.
Anything else you need from me?
No, thank you so much, Father. We'll see you
Pleasure
in
to
2
be here.
weeks.
Enjoy your afternoon.
You too, Father.
Morning, excuse me.
Yes, we're still early, thanks. All right, thank you. And next up is the request for the revisions to the Town of Greenwich flag policy, back in the news. Hi, Laura.
Hi, good morning. Laura McGeechee, Assistant Town Attorney, and I was requested to revisit the flag policy, just to make clear again procedure and mechanics for the flag raising. And what I don't believe it was posted, right, Ken? But I do have copies. It was. Would you, I can hand copies and read it as well? Or you have copies? Okay. And I have copies for anyone else. Okay. So it did get posted. That's great.
Oh, my Lord.
There's just, and if you want, I'll just, and again, for purposes of being remote, there's just 2 changes to the existing policy and then an additional paragraph. So in number 1 under the policy, where it says the flags authorized to be flown, we just added as of right. Certainly the 3, national flag, state flag, town flag. Those are as of right, and that's in number 1. The only other change is in 3B. It stopped at consideration. So, this is when a town resident seeks to have a flag approved by the selectmen, that it will obviously come before 2 regularly scheduled board selectmen meetings for consideration and vote. So we just added vote. It was intended to include a vote, but now it says so. And then number 4 is the new addition on the mechanics, where it says, In the event a flag display is approved by the Board of Selectmen pursuant to 2(3)(a) or B above, the proponent of such flag display shall contact the office of the first selectman a minimum of 7 days in advance of such flag display with either a request for a formal ceremony with town officials, which is not guaranteed, certainly, based on your schedules, or if it's solely a flag-raising event without a ceremony. It's to request a town employee is scheduled for the flag raising. Only town employees are authorized to raise and lower flags on town flagpoles. In the event the approved flag raising falls outside of normal town hall hours or on a holiday, the proponent's required to pay the applicable overtime rate for a town employee to raise the flag if there's nobody on duty. The proponent shall supply the office of the first selectman with the approved flag to be raised if such flag is not already in the town's possession. Following the flag display, the proponent may pick up the flag from the office of the first selectman with reasonable advance notice. So that is just to kind of make clear how to process a request if you are in fact approved, if it's on the slate of flags, et cetera, and I think it, again, just to make clear that there's a clear and standard process, that a week in advance seems a reasonable period of time. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you have any suggestions or comments, happy to entertain them.
Thank you for putting it in writing. Unfortunately, the incident we had really forced us to do this, which is probably a good thing. My only concern in maybe adding something, because I'm just thinking of the incident and what happened with the person doing that. It says here only a town employee can raise and lower the flag, which normally is when, we say, to lower a flag or something. But when we have ceremonies, I could see this person coming forward and saying, wait a minute, you're allowing so-and-so to raise the flag during the ceremony. They're not a town employee. So maybe we could just add in there during a ceremony, the proponent or the organization, like say, for example, on Columbus Day, sometimes we'll get the honoree to raise the flag. I could see.
Or you could say supervised by.
Yeah, I would say
Because
supervised.
Supervised,
Yes, because
supervised.
I
because
had that
we always
same
have-
reaction, because
somebody-
usually
Okay.
it's,
somebody may
Oh,
make
right,
a-
that's part of the ceremonial flag raising
Right.
with whatever organization.
just to cover
I see.
ourselves, because I could see someone bringing this up as an issue and filing complaints and everything, so, and wasting more of our time. So I think just adding that tiny little thing, and I think the rest of it's perfect.
Well, my question's really for Ken because it all falls on him. It's about the 7-day advanced notice. Is that enough? Because I would think so, yes. Okay, because for proclamations, we say 30 days. I'm just,
We can hustle and get it done.
if you're
Well,
if
and
you're
it's a
okay with it-
minimum.
I'm comfortable
The
with 7
idea
days.
is to hopefully have more.
Well, I know, but I just want to make,
and in theory, we're town employees. So if we said supervised by a town
Yeah.
employee.
exactly.
I think that clears it right there. Just adding that word supervise, a few words there, and then I think the rest of it, we've dotted every I and crossed every T here, so there's nothing that's ambiguous anymore. Not that it ever was, but just to make sure that everything under the sun is covered. But
Oh, absolutely. So again, where it says, that only town employees are authorized to raise and lower the flag. So it should say only town employees
Can
are,
supervise.
shall supervise, I guess, or, okay, yeah. I
and
will.
raise and or supervise. This way it covers everything.
Okay, yeah, okay, to raise and,
And we could actually, what we'll do
Authorize.
is,
Supervise.
when we approve this, we'll actually put this out in the weekly e-blast, we'll put it on
Right.
social media, we'll make sure that everybody in the world sees it, so there won't be any more issues with this, we hope.
Okay.
Thank you.
any other,
Not in the policy, but, I wasn't here during all this happening. What was pointed out is for the Brazilian, Filipino, sorry, that we approved it for a day, and when the ceremony happened, it was known that it was gonna be flying for a few days. So where do we clarify,
The 3 days,
like, how long something will fly?
As you've said repeatedly, a schedule of when these things are going to be up. I think I can take responsibility on maintaining and creating that schedule. You certainly have brought this up in the past, and it's a good excuse to really get on it. And make sure we know
And the
when.
length of time, so any flag, like if it was breast cancer awareness, how many days is the pink flag gonna fly? If it was Red Cross, how many days? So not just the day of it,
So,
but how long it'll be there. 'Cause
right, because he made a point, argument over this, and normally we acknowledge it and we let it fly for 3 days. There have been some exceptions where something has happened, or, for example, during when Ukraine was invaded, or after October 7th, we allowed those flags to stay up a little bit more just to show a little solidarity, and not many people had an issue with that. So that's really a town call at that, at that moment, but I think in general, we try to hold to a 3-day policy. It was never a day. I don't know where he got that. But
I think in our minutes, because we approved it for the day, that's how it was interpreted, so we just need to be clear.
But
Excuse
I
me.
would think that, to your point, Lauren, is that you might not want to put the days in the policy because you want that
No.
discretion, and it depends what's
Right.
coming up on the calendar, or if it's a Friday to a Monday, that kind of
Yes.
thing.
and we're also, the more we approve, the more they're gonna start to run into each other, so I think probably we should leave that. And we'll stick to, again, the intent is to leave them for 3 days, but it's up really to the discretion of the board and the town, just to be able, because of unforeseen circumstances, or the fact that they may, come on one on top of the other, which may happen with.
Can
the
we
request.
work?
Or you might have to fly some half-staff, or that's the other flag,
Yeah,
or whatever.
something
So-
takes precedent. Can we, maybe under the office of the first selectman, maybe work with our web team to just create, it's not the calendar, I don't want to put it on the calendar necessarily, but the listing. I don't know, I think if we could just be, more public facing about when these flags are going to fly.
Well, we have.
I don't know that I'm looking to put it on like the calendar per
Well,
se.
because if we do that, they're gonna look to the town and say, well, you should have put it up because you had where this policy clearly says they need to come to us because we're putting a burden on everybody, which really they shouldn't have to remember to do all this stuff. And historically, all of these organizations look forward to this, so they would always come to us, the Hibernian Association will come to us well in advance, or the Breast Cancer Alliance, and they'll plan it out, we'll do the proclamation. So I fear that if we put if we put a calendar there, it's gonna be interpreted that, oh, well, the town did that, they were supposed to, and I think it just opens up a can of worms if we do that. But we obviously do the approved list, but then I think we just stop there.
Well, I was
Yeah,
going to say,
definitely, just
I think the approved list should be posted. I do think as organizations come and actually arrange for the event, then they should be put on the town calendar because we want the public to.
After they've, yes.
So after
arranged,
they've,
yeah.
right.
I agree.
So, once they've contacted Ken and, arrangements have been made, then I do think it
Yeah,
should
I
be
agree
posted to
with
the
that.
town
I
calendar.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
We're crossing all the Ts, dotting the Is.
Right, so we'll post the change and then we'll vote at our next meeting? Okay,
Okay,
all right.
Thank
all
you.
right.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
work,
Thanks,
Laura.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Okay, and the last item under new business is a presentation on potential improvements to Greenwich's urban planning and roadways. And
I'm going to promote you to a panelist now. Make sure to disable your audio so you don't have feedback.
You need to hit the button to.
thanks, Josh.
And once you get now your panel, I think you can be able to share your screen with us now.
Awesome. Video's off too, which is good. So let me share my
I
screen.
have a copy of your presentation here too, if you need that.
Okay. It just says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh. Let me try sharing after my screen.
Okay.
But you can just introduce yourself.
Okay, yeah. For the record, I'm Yash Jain. I've been a resident of Greenwich for about 10 years now, and I was born and raised in Stamford, so in the area. I go to university, so I'm going into my second year as a computer science and physics student in University of Toronto in Canada. And recently I've been getting into just urban planning and the whole field of city design, and I found it really interesting. So I figured might as well start somewhere in my hometown of Greenwich.
Great. We're glad you did. I'm glad you reached out to DPW and
Yeah.
Commissioner. Whoa.
What was that?
I don't know. Yeah, thanks, Jim. Let's see. Thank you, Jim.
Oh, yes, great, terrific.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
So yeah, this is just the title
Can you go
page.
full screen, Ken?
Let me try.
Is this like a PowerPoint file or it's a PDF?
Yeah, unfortunately, for some reason, I was trying to send it as a PowerPoint, but there was a restriction in the file size limit. So
It's okay.
okay, yeah. So could I?
Sorry, it's not up here too.
That's okay. I can just move on my laptop screen.
Yeah, okay, I
So
think
it's
you
fine.
should be able to, hopefully. I don't know. Technology, not my thing, but I'm trying my best.
It's okay. So I guess I'll start with like an overview of the full like situation. So I know that the town of Greenwich recently got a grant from the state to improve like public transit and walking and cycling infrastructure generally. And they conducted public forums last year. So I kind of just put it all on a slide, and these are the main issues that they found. And then I also highlighted recent projects that were done, not necessarily as a result of the grant, but just in the past couple of years or so. And I'd like to point out, just
Keep going, I'm moving.
just the slide.
Oh, I'm gonna try moving. I'm gonna get paper copies for all three of you, so.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the general thing is that I feel like Greenwich has made a lot of recent improvements in general traffic safety and sidewalk improvements, but I think that to really elevate this, grant that they've given and conduct as much studies as possible and actually reach like a vision zero, like no traffic fatalities, I think there's a lot of things that Greenwich can really improve on, especially when it comes to connecting sidewalks and improving bikeability, because in my experience, I'm an avid cyclist, so I like, Greenwich is really beautiful to bike around. Like, it's got a lot of greenery, it's a lot of beautiful areas to go around, and I live in North Greenwich, so it's honestly pretty nice to just go around the forest and just take it all in. But I think, we could get a lot more people out biking and a lot more active transportation if we just do some small improvements, especially near downtown, starting out because it's the densest area, and then building out to eventually reach to a point where people can bring their kids out cycling on a trail near the Minas River, for example, take it down to downtown Greenwich, or something like that. And I really think it could improve the vitality of the town as a whole.
Yeah, and while we're waiting for Ken, the bike task force, which is now called the Active
Transportation
You-
Task Force.
We've been talking for 3 years, and I said, because we're doing really well with all getting new trails for hikers, and I'm a hiker, so I love it, but I feel bad because, to bike on the road is a little more dangerous, right? So I thought, we have all these trails, could we do some parallel trails next to the hike? So Vin DeMarco and Bob D'Angelo, we walked Pomerantz, and I thought that would be perfect to connect Pomerantz on Bible Street to Central Middle School.
Yeah.
And I think it works perfect. And then they said also in Bruce Park, where we have this path going through the park, which is really nice. But again, it's small, so it's not conducive to sharing it with bicyclists. I thought if we can do a parallel, and so they're more focused on Bruce Park, but maybe if you could also circle back with that task force, and because we really would like to see something, whether it's first in Bruce Park or in Pomerantz, a parallel path so bikers could be safely off the road and getting their, as you said, taking it all in, the greenery. What a great thing, because we have so many parks and so much open space. It's, to me, it's a shame that it's only people like me, the hikers, can use it, and not, when the bikers do it, sometimes people get run into, and then they complain, and it's not fair. So I'd like to see paths for that. So maybe if you could reach out to Vin DeMarco,
Connect you with Vin and.
Bobby Daniel.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, that'd be awesome.
Great, okay, so,
So, kind of to the same point I was saying earlier, like Greenwich has made a lot of improvements, but I think we can actually learn from a lot of towns in the area. So I picked a couple of towns in New England, in the USA and Canada, and then the world. And I know there's a lot of different regulations between towns and states and obviously countries, but I think we can take bits and pieces that work for Greenwich and iterate on them and, innovate and make some new things for our own town. Just the next slide. So I kind of did a case study in a sense. I mean, really small scale, but I picked the 4 cities in New England that I thought did a pretty good job at building out a bike infrastructure and even walking and active transportation, not only just for recreation, but both for recreation and for transit. And I think, so we'll start with New Haven a little bit. I think they've done a really good job with putting protected lanes downtown. And that doesn't even mean like putting up barriers. That means just moving parking to the right of bikers. It makes a protective barrier on its own. Like, it's really easy to do in terms of, like, it's not much build quality. It really just is a painted bike lane, but moving parking to one side. They've done a lot of that, especially in downtown. And they've done a lot of transit-oriented developments, which are developments that are really close to train stations or, close to central downtown that include.
so you mean the bike lane would actually be closer, so the parking would actually be right next to where the traffic is, and it would protect the bike lane?
Yeah, it would be
never thought of that.
as like a buffer, like, and you still have parking, so you're not taking out any parking spots, but you can also still drive in the one lane.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, that was something really interesting.
And they do that there?
Yeah, they have the main street through I forget the exact name, but there's one main street that crosses Yale, and they have just a protected bike lane with a bunch of parked cars. So yeah, and one town that I really think we could also look towards is Somerville, Massachusetts, around similar population, and they've kind of adopted a similar strategy to New Haven of using parked cars as like a buffer for bike lanes, and they're doing a lot. So obviously we'll start small and grow bigger from there, but we can take a lot of things that they've done and kind of iterate on them too, because they have a bit of the same problem with very narrow streets, since it used to be a streetcar suburb, so very small and narrow streets. So we can learn from them. Okay. Hoboken, New Jersey is another city that I picked up. I mean, it's a bit more dense than Greenwich, so I was just more throw it in there. But one thing that's really interesting about them is they have small bike lanes on these really narrow streets, and I was like, how does that really help anything? Because it's not even protected; it's just like a painted lane. But it's really the psychology of this space is for bikes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's kind of like the psychology of like, this is for bikes and this is for cars. So cars, just people driving automatically kind of shift more to the right. And they haven't had traffic fatalities in 7 years. And from 2022 to 23, their serious injuries went down 62%, and injury crashes went down 18%. Another interesting town I'd like to put here is Simsbury, Connecticut. It's really small, which is surprising, but they've done a lot of trails, actually. They've built out a huge trail network because they're along the Farmington Canal Trail that goes from New Haven to Massachusetts. And they've done a lot of multi-use trails along the sides of roads. So bumping out the sidewalk a little larger and then making like an asphalt path, both bikers and cyclists can use it, or cyclists and walkers can use it. And they've done initiatives like bike and walk to school. So they have group rides to school for a bunch of the younger kids who are in elementary and middle school. So these are just some images of recent, of sidewalk improvements that I've found kind of interesting. But next slide. And it's kind of hard to see, but especially near dense areas like apartment buildings or even like condominium housing, adding even these two-way bike paths, like the concrete bike paths next to the sidewalk, kind of acts in a similar way to the cars. Bikers know to bike on the asphalt path while the walkers walk on the actual sidewalk. These are just some examples that I've picked. And so the next slide. So solutions to narrow roads. Like I know this is a very Greenwich problem. We have very narrow roads, not much of a shoulder even to speak of. But I think one of the problems that people brought up was through traffic, through a lot of narrow and quiet streets, because that it's not great for kids who want to play outside. You have a bunch of through traffic through especially in downtown Greenwich. So I think we can even block off one-way traffic, because especially since all these roads are connected, we can use contraflow bike lanes, which kind of acts as one way of car traffic for a smaller bike lane. It kind of adds to the street vitality because it makes cars drive slower just because they have one lane and there's a lot of markers on the street that tell them this is a residential street, drive slow. Another one is advisory bike lanes, which aren't as common in the US but are very common in the Netherlands and especially a lot of Europe. These are really common on narrow streets as well. They're two-way car traffic lanes. However, if there's since they're not wide enough for two cars, if there is oncoming traffic, one of the cars will have to wait behind a pedestrian or cyclist if they're biking there, or just park to the side of the road while the other car moves through. It's a lot safer for cyclists and walkers in general, since maybe sidewalk building is a lot harder in some of these narrow streets. In addition to covering through traffic, directional closures are especially common in the US, where you cut off one part of the road and only allow people who walk or people who bike to enter, but the other side is allowed for cars. So it almost becomes like not really a dead end, but it doesn't serve as much of a connector anymore, and people tend to avoid driving on these streets because it's not as efficient. So then you kind of actually are cutting the through traffic problem. Again, that's kind of an extension of modal filters, because sometimes you have really, really quiet streets that just so happen to be near highway intersections or major businesses, and just get people going through them because Google Maps routes them through them. But you can add modal filters, which are all right, only people who walk can come through this part of the street, and only people who bike can come through this part of the street. Next slide. So I just kind of put a bunch of citations and slides and stuff, and they're all at the end of the presentation, so I can email you guys this presentation. There's a work site at the end. Oh, okay, awesome. But a lot of these, there's been tons of studies done on all of these types of traffic calming and bike lanes and stuff. And I kind of looked around and did a small pseudo study to see which roads might be interesting, and Bruce Park came up. I think Bruce Park would be a really interesting pilot to try to maybe redesign the street, because I know Bruce Park is a circle, so there isn't to reduce through traffic through that area. I feel like we could even make it a one-way street where you have Davis Drive coming on one end, and then you have Indian Field going up there, right? Or I forget what that road is, but it doesn't need to be as car-centric, right? You can have people walking or biking and repurpose some of the street. So, yeah, the next slide. I kind of did a quick little demo, I guess, of what Bruce Park could potentially look like. So the before is what it is kind of right now. I eyeballed it using Google Maps. But the after is what it would be like, I think, if you would cut off one part of the lane for bikers and bumping out the sidewalk a bit more to match the same width as the bike lane. And I think it could really, there's still more than enough space for the car to go around the Bruce Park. And since it's a loop, I don't really think it would cause that much traffic issues. And another one I did was North Street. And I know this is an interesting pick because it becomes very narrow as you go north. But closer to downtown, I think just south of Fairfield, you would be able to maybe bump out a sidewalk more and do a little bit of a multi-use trail, because obviously space is the main concern, but linking up a lot of the schools that are in the downtown Greenwich area will do a lot to just improving traffic in general, because I know that there's a lot of the problem of missing sidewalks in Greenwich sometimes, where they just peter off and there's really no point to them. So completing a full grid would allow kids that maybe did not feel comfortable to walk or bike to school to maybe take that option. Especially when downtown Greenwich, I know, gets absolutely packed when there's Greenwich High School leaving and Country Day leaving, and Central, Eastern, that whole corridor becomes a bit of a mess. So encouraging this active transportation to schools is really important. So the next slide. And so this is kind of a big redesign thing I had in mind. So I know Greenwich Ave is Greenwich Ave is the main, that's what I think of Greenwich, when you walk, you go down Greenwich Ave, you see all these shops lined streets, and it's really beautiful. But I think it could even be like enhanced more. And the way I think so is that it's almost asking to have people biking or walking more because it's next to train stations, so anyone coming from the train has easy access to Greenwich Ave. And it's also next to Route 1, so anyone walking near Route 1 can come down to Greenwich Ave as well. And I think it could also serve as a good bike corridor because Greenwich Ave tends to not have that many people driving to it to go to the train station just due to the amount of traffic of people coming out, backing in, going into the parking. And I think, people use a lot of the side roads to come into the train station anyways, so I don't think it would cause that much of a traffic issue from a commuting standpoint. However, I think it would serve as a really good corridor for cyclists and pedestrians, more so than it already is. So maybe potentially, we could figure out if we could install we can start with, painted lanes and then eventually build up to maybe protected lane using kind of the New Haven strategy of buffered cars. And again, I will say though, we'd probably have to alter parking spots because while you can use cars as a buffer, you're obviously taking up more of the road space than without a bike lane.
I don't think anybody would care if we take away parking. Yeah, that's one of the issues. I'm kidding,
The
obviously.
Achilles heel.
Yeah, that's I love the idea, but we've really supported outdoor dining, which took away some, and so we've been trying to find spaces in other. So I think that would, I don't want to kill anything, but we'd have to probably find another way to not touch parking. Yeah, because when I 6 years ago I was looking at all these things and I thought, I think it was in California. Their main thoroughfare had this beautiful strip in the middle of the road, and the cars were on each side, and it was a tree-lined middle. I thought that would be beautiful for Greenwich Avenue, but that the more I looked at it, the more it would have taken away some spaces, and they would have run me out of town. So but it's a great idea. So I'll see if we could find other spots for it, but I just think that would run into some trouble.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing is also like, this is just more of a, let's just have this in the back of our minds. So, I know that public opinion changes over time. So, whenever the time is right, obviously you want to do it. But I've heard from, that parking is a very contentious issue on the Greenwich Ave strip.
When we have the self-driving cars eventually, with people be dropped off, this won't be an issue maybe in 10 years.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
right? It may not be an issue.
Yeah, so,
And I don't want to cut you off. I want to hear the whole presentation, but I definitely don't want to discourage youthful ideas. And what I'm going to say is, as we listen to all of your ideas, we need you on the active transportation task force.
Okay.
It meets every once a month, the third Wednesday of the month at 10:30, and it's by Zoom. Okay. So even when you go back to school, depending on your class schedule, you could definitely join in. So keep these ideas flowing and
Great idea.
yeah.
I like that.
yeah, I definitely would want to get involved with that. So maybe the next slide. So this is more of just the Greenwich Ave area. This is a very far-fetched idea. Considering that we're struggling with removing parking spots, this is more just something we can keep in the back of our minds again. And this is a kind of a full Greenwich Ave area, I think, what we could do with. The big thing here is the living streets. So I know it's a very novel concept in North America, but super common in Europe, where they have these streets where it's cobbled street, very old school, but cyclists, pedestrians, and cars all take up, there's no sidewalk. Everyone just goes on the street. There's no demarcation line of where people walk, where people bike, where people drive. It's just kind of like a free-for-all.
Doesn't parts of Rome, some streets are like that? I seem to remember that last year was a little, it was free for all.
Yeah, and I know
and I didn't see any. I thought I was going to see people lying all over the place and flying. I didn't see. They kind of know how to do it.
Yeah, and
I get it.
I know it's obviously you've seen it. It's definitely a bit jarring to look at for the first time because whoa, someone's gonna crash. What's happening?
No, and the guy who was driving, he said, I can always tell somebody who's here because they're just going to walk. They're not even going to look. But I could tell a tourist, they will look. And that's what so they kind of, it works. I don't, but yeah, I agree.
I'll just say it's a different mindset. I've lived in Brussels and I've lived in Dublin, and it's not a car-centric culture, right? That's probably the big difference.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a mindset change, but I do think that
Also the climate too, I think. The climate has something to do with it.
I mean, they get the stuff done in Finland, so I'm just saying. But
Yeah.
but I think like even doing a pilot project, even you don't have to like fully tear up the street and put in like stones and everything. But I think even starting with small stretches just to see how people react, and obviously in a controlled environment. And that's the great thing about pilot projects, and you can just throw it out there and see what people do with it and how people respond.
So we'll look to Jim to find a street here to do a pilot for. Okay.
Well, I'm also was
I like
trying
that.
to wait till the end, but back to your making some streets one way. I know that there was a proposal where, is it the Townhouse Restaurant? And it was before, it was going to be apartments, I think like some kind of Alzheimer's memory unit was proposed. And it's Church, and I forget what the other street is. Like, one could easily be one way and the other one the other way. Because both those streets are so stinking narrow. Like, you can't have two cars kind of like passing almost. It's like scary. So I think there's some places where we might be able to experiment. And I also wanted to bring up, and Fred, you may know of this, there's somebody who's been asking for something to accommodate being blind on Bruce Park Drive. Kate Webster. I don't know if you're aware of it, Jim. I'm supposed to look into it, so I'll follow up afterwards. Like the beacon thing that, or some sort of signature signage that a blind person lives there.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them in the past. So not here, but I've seen them in other venues.
And I just came from Japan where everything is made for a blind person, or Tokyo, I should say, Tokyo. They have like the bumpy stuff so
Right,
that
yeah.
people with their walker thing know exactly how to
Interesting.
walk.
Yeah.
It's murder on like roller suitcases, but
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that. All right. Yeah.
Sorry, I'll be done very soon, so don't worry. But
Oh, take your time.
so the next slide. So this is kind of an interesting one. So I know this is Route 1. It's not a city-owned road, but the crazy thing is there's actually already been a study done in 2011 by the Connecticut Department of Transportation to put bike lanes all the way from like Byram area to west side of Stamford. I don't really know why nothing has been done on it, but the fact that the research has already been done, and my idea isn't really that novel. It's really kind of, again, taking a New Haven approach this time, just putting parked cars on the side, keeping it as a buffer so you don't have to build too much in addition. But I really think this could be something that the town of Greenwich, and maybe in collaboration with Stamford, might be good to push for, because the study's already been done. People have already, a lot of the concerns addressed in the study were many of the concerns that were brought up in the 2024 public hearing. So I think, maybe in collaboration with Stamford, and you guys there might be some push to bring it back into the limelight. And I'm not sure if that's, I mean, we'll see how that goes, obviously. This is just more of like a
I'll
thing.
reach out to Mayor Simmons. I know, I don't know if we could put too much parking on the post road to buffer it. In certain places you probably could, because it's wider. Some places you can't.
yeah, because there isn't all
There's not-
parking
Yeah, so,
to begin with.
but I know the active transportation task force, they really, every time there's a project, especially on the post road, they bring this up. So you're on the same page.
Okay, I'm on the same page. Got it.
They really do need you on this.
I wonder, I'd have to like look back at the study, but part of the problem with the post road is not traffic on I-95. So people get using the post road because I-95.
So that you'll hear that because when there's an accident, they use the bus road, so it literally becomes a parking lot. That may be the pushback here on that one because it's a main thoroughfare.
Right.
But again, I mean, if that's the case, maybe, we could do an emergency where you close the bike lane, right? And the police could do that, and, you'd have to have some type of system in place there, and a biker would see that, they would see the cars, so they would just avoid. So there's probably something we could do.
Yeah, and I mean, they've already, like, the crazy thing is a lot of the studies that I looked up about adding bike lanes and removing, like, a traffic lane, a lot of people are skeptical, like, whoa, you're removing a traffic lane, it's gonna cause a lot of traffic. But the main thing is, like, people forget to realize that, like, the mode of transportation around that area will shift too. So people who were not as comfortable with walking or biking on that area might actually take up biking and walking on that street.
We would hope, right?
Yeah,
We want- we want them to do that.
If the mantra of if you build it, they'll come is like, seems like it's true. I mean, I've taken a couple studies from New York City, and I obviously know it's a different place, but they kind of converted a two-way thoroughfare into a one-way thoroughfare with like a two-lane bike lane, and actually.
Yeah, how's that work? 'Cause I know they did it in a couple parts in the city, and so the media will always go there, and they'll try and find the people that are aggravated, and so of course. But I wonder, are they still doing that? Because there's got to be, if there's some success there, we could always point to say, yes, there's going to be some opposition, but it has worked.
Yeah, actually, Columbus Avenue was one that I picked, and they also did a study in 2011 where, they took out a lane, cycling increased by 56% on weekdays, crashes of any kind decreased by 34%, traffic flow remained similar, so there was negligible difference, maybe 1 or 2 seconds in either direction. Actually, what the crazy thing is, commercial and loading hours, like, trucks stopping and loading space increased by 475%. So no difference in traffic speed, increase in bike lane, decrease in traffic fatalities, and commercial loading space increase.
I know, and on the east side, like going from Grand Central to the 50s and 60s and 70s, there's bike lanes on all those streets.
Yeah, and surprisingly, it doesn't really add much of a difference in traffic time. So maybe that might be something to consider.
Got to watch out for those knuckleheads that try to beat when there's congestion on the
Oh, yeah,
sidewalk,
going.
like me, and I start to jog on that, and I almost get run over by the bike, and it would be my fault.
Oh, well.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I've done it several times, and I realize I'm in the bike lane, and I have to go back. So
I didn't know you jog.
I would when I'm late. But anyway, no, it seems to work. You really don't hear too many accidents like that.
Yeah, and you'd think that with the amount of cyclists coming in, it'd be like, whoa, there's more of a risk. But in reality, I think it's just because the street's narrow, so people tend to drive more cautiously because, they're actively looking out for people on the, like, walking.
Well, we have a part of Greenwich, old Greenwich, where they really, if you go down there, you see people biking all the time, and they have carriages, and they're carrying kids around, and it works there because they're so used to doing it, and so many do it now that people expect it.
I was going to say, again, it's the mindset.
Culture.
Yeah,
It's
it's
changed.
the culture, right?
Old Greenwich has
And
turned the
nobody
corner.
wants to scrape those stone walls headed to Todd's Point.
But yeah, no, it's great. I mean, that's a sign in the right direction. They're moving in active transportation, like into a way to active transportation in Old Greenwich. So that's a start. I mean, there you go.
Old Greenwich just figured it out. It really has been it's a culture, it's a change there. It's a mindset where they're ahead of the other parts of town on that.
Yeah, so maybe pilot projects in Old Greenwich might have more traction than they would in downtown.
That may be the place, because it's also where we've put sidewalks, and most of the community has gotten behind it, where other parts of town, it ends up sometimes being 50-50. And they'll, as the commissioner could tell you, they sometimes will fight over sidewalks, but Old Greenwich seemed to really embrace it. So maybe OG is a place we could find a pilot.
Or you identified Glenville Road. I'll vote for Glenville too.
Yeah, Glenville's also a good one.
Especially when the new market goes in. I mean,
Yeah, because it's gonna increase traffic
Yes.
if you can get more people.
and Glenville Street is parking on one side. And it's hard, like, because of the parking, the sight lines when you pull out of your driveway, like,
Just don't take any of Frankie's spaces over at the pizza
no,
place,
no,
'cause we're gonna
I'm
have
talking,
problems.
yeah, I'm not talking street by pizza place. But that's all being redone anyway, as we speak, right, Jim?
Yep.
But that might be another opportunity, just coming off of Pemberwick, coming off of King Street, because we're gonna get a lot of New Yorkers coming in to that shopping center.
And I mean, it connects a shopping area to downtown Greenwich. It's like one of the few connectors, so it could actually serve a lot of commuters as well.
You know, because some people walk on that road and it scares the heck out of me. I'm like, oh my God, I would never walk on that road.
But I mean, if you add some
Yes.
infrastructure there, it actually could do a lot of good.
Yes.
The graphic here for Havamar to Sound Beach, where, I'm trying to picture where that would be on that slide. Are we on that same slide? Oh, did I? Yeah, one back, yeah. Yeah, right there, to Havamar to Sound Beach.
Yeah.
That was crossing the post road there? From Havamar Lane to the,
Like from the intersection to.
yeah, okay,
That was in the study.
Okay.
So they drew out in the study.
gotcha.
But yeah. So
BET would never approve of this, but I would love to see a pedestrian bridge over Route 1.
Yeah, well, they've, in other jurisdictions, they'll actually even, where they don't need a bridge, they'll actually like make it for animals so they don't cross the
yeah,
road and get killed,
right.
which I think is great.
that's also good.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know unless you ask, I guess.
Just a couple of slides down. Don't worry, the last one.
Okay.
There's one on the next one.
The one, so two after that. So that one and then the one below. This
one?
Yeah. And then, to your point, trails. We should definitely take advantage of the fact that, Greenwich has got a lot of forests, they got a lot of nice, beautiful trails. And, since you've already got the space taken out for hiking, converting some of that space to at least partially for bike corridors might actually be pretty interesting. And I know I don't know if it was the town of Greenwich or the state did a study on the Merritt Parkway trail near the side of the Merritt Parkway, since they got some buffer lanes there. So, I mean, it was a while ago, so I'm not sure where that's gone, but might be something of interest. And I know we have a lot of rivers. Minas River, Byram River, all the small brooks that come out of there. If there's any space that the city owns or the town owns, maybe it might be worthwhile to do like a river trail. And, that kind of complements the network. It's also both a recreation and a, commuter thing. It could actually work for people who live in North Greenwich where, it's not dense enough to put a sidewalk or a bike trail.
Yeah, the people who bike, again, we thought that the example of kids who live over on Bible Street, Clover Place, could cut through Tuckman Pomerantz property and where the trails are and bike over, cut across, avoid all the traffic and cars, and then end up right where Central Middle School is, where the tennis courts are. It really, and there's a crosswalk there. So, I mean, it almost is crying out for a connector path there.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, you really need to be on this transportation task force.
I'll get on this
Please,
transportation.
please.
But I mean, obviously.
Put you in touch with chairs.
Awesome.
Thank you,
awesome.
Ken.
Yeah. The next slide just has kind of a fantasy mock-up of what it could potentially look like if we run a full network of trails. Obviously, I don't know the land boundaries and what the city has and what the state has and whatnot, but since there's a lot of green space and a lot of forest and stuff, I mean, it could actually serve as viable, as you were saying, a transportation connector, even for people living further out, all the way out into North Greenwich. But yeah, so that's kind of my whole spiel. Sorry for taking up a lot of your time, but.
But this has been one of the more interesting proposals we've seen in years. And we love it.
Thank you.
We love it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very innovative and like your executive presence and confidence.
Yeah, you've got three people very interested up here of what you just presented. And the fact that the commissioner, who's probably one of the busiest guys in Greenwich, took time out to be here today and was very enthusiastic about it, says a lot. So, yeah, I think not only working with the task force, Ken will put you in touch with Bob and Vinny. Some of the stuff we really, I think, should look at and maybe do a pilot program in a place like Old Greenwich, which may be more open to it. And then upon success, then we could start to look to other places. So, and that's just one. Yeah, I loved it. I know one little thought was where some of the times where you were taking adding things in, where there was a couple photos where there was a bigger sidewalk with a lot more grass because of the flood issues where we're trying to mitigate flooding. is there a way to like put like have a path that may have taken the place of some soil, but to have it porous where it would just, right? I think they have those, right? Yeah, and it'd be painted green anyway, so as long as the water's going, so I think there's ways to do these things without creating any problem or exacerbating an existing problem, so I like it.
Thank you guys for letting me give my whole.
Well, thank you.
I think it's great. I mean, definitely all these ideas are intriguing. Some of them may work, some of them may not. But this is why we need diversity on all of our boards and commissions. And by that, I mean generational diversity. So I applaud you. Thank you.
Yes. We look forward to more, Yash. Thank you. Okay.
We will not be hearing from the Grigg Street closure today, so we can just move on.
Okay,
Okay, so, do we have any appointments?
no.
Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you, everybody, appreciate it.